Okay, so I saw my friend Heather Austin do this video last year, I think, or at least like something similar to this, and she pretty much went through her entire collection and she ranked her top palette from every single indie brand, and I was like, that's actually a really good idea. So this video is actually inspired by her. I went through my entire collection and I pretty much have one palette from every single indie brand that I own in my collection, and I'm gonna let you guys know which ones are my personal favorite from each one. This is not gonna be a ranking from my least favorite to my most favorite. This is just me talking about one palette from every single indie brand that I've tried that I love the most. So you guys want to see what these palettes are, which I'm pretty sure most of you guys can already clock them. Well, then grab a snack, grab a drink, and let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so I realized the majority of my 356 palette collection, that's right, 356, because I decluttered over 100 palettes. I'm left with that. Majority of my palettes are actually from indie brands, and there are so many different indie brands that I absolutely love with all my heart, and I realized that there is a palette from each one that I just love just a little bit more than the rest. So we're going to go ahead and dive into that. So first off, we have Miss Laura Lee Los Angeles. Now this is going to be the whimsical nude palette. Now she actually did shut down her brand earlier this year, so you guys will not find this palette for sale anymore. But I will say, for her indie brand, this is my favorite palettes that she had launched amongst all the palettes that she did come out with. She only launched, I think, like 5 or 6 in total, if I'm correct. Possibly, yeah. And I will say this is probably one of my favorite ones that she launched. I love this green color story. You guys are going to kind of see some similarities because like there's something about these color stories that I just like I resonate with so much. But I do love a good green gold eyeshadow palette because you guys can use these for pops of color, but also if you want to do some neutral moments as well. And that's why I really do like them. So this is one of my favorite palettes that Laura Lee Los Angeles ever came out with. And I think it's one of the last palettes that they come out with on their own without collaborating with Lunar Beauty. And I still love this palette. Speaking of Lunar Beauty, one of my favorite palettes that Lunar Beauty ever launched was actually going to be the Nude Prism palette. Now, you would not think that, given the fact that I love colorful palettes so much, but the Nude Prism palette truly is one of my favorite palettes from Lunar Beauty. This is still a palette that I still reach for all the time. If I'm looking for just a quick, easy eye look, I literally reach into this palette. I go for the exact same shade combination like the Done Tomorrow. I go into shade right here called Milk Tea. I put that all over my lid, and then I take the shade called Laura and Sam, and I just mix the two together, and I tap it on, and boom, easy, done, out the door. That is my go-to beautiful eye look. I put on a white liner, some lashes, and I always go, what do you want on my eyes? It's this, and it takes like 5 seconds to do. Like literally, it takes 5 seconds to do. This is so beautiful. I love using this for that type of look, and it's just one of those really easy out-the-door looks. And this is a palette that I'm still going to hold on to and cherish because this is still like one of my favorite neutral palettes, and I just think that Manny did a really good job with this one right here. For Clionadh Cosmetics, I haven't tried a lot from the brand. I know they released some palettes, but the one that I really did get a chance to try that I do enjoy is going to be their Palo palette right here. They sent this to me last year, and I absolutely, one, I love the outside packaging, but two, I love the color story on the inside. And there's something about this palette that just reminds me so much of Neopets. I grew up playing Neopets, and I'm sure some of you guys in the comment section probably have too. And this reminds me of like the game called Destructo Match. I don't know why. I don't know why. You gotta just, match. It's like almost like that random fruit game. You just gotta match the blocks together and just hit it and then they fall down, right? That's just the whole premise of the game. This color scheme and concept just reminds me of that so much. I don't know why, but I always think that with this. I will say I do love the color stories. I love the blues. I also love the golds and the yellows in here as well. The formula is incredible. I really do like Clionadh's formula. I don't like it to play too much from this brand. Because they are a little bit expensive. I don't get any PR or anything from them. And I will say that this was just a really pretty palette to play with. I love my eye looks, and this is just one of my favorite ones from this brand. And I just, yeah. I always think of Neopets whenever I play with this, and it just gets me super excited. I don't know why. Up next, I do have Adept Cosmetics. So one of my favorite palettes from Adept Cosmetics is actually from Heather Austin. So this is going to be the Heather Austin palette right here. I love this color story. This is actually the first palette that I ever tried from Adept Cosmetics. I never even heard of them before until Heather Austin, if I'm going to be completely real with you. And then I actually tried quite a few palettes from the brand ever since. But I will say this is still my absolute favorite. I just love the color story. I love the doodle greens, I love the doodle greens, the purples, like the chromes up, like the dual chromes up here. Heather did a really good job with her color story. Like I love the shade called Passport. I love the shade called Smith. Austin. I love the shade called Video Chat. It just pairs so beautifully. And a lot of these colors do scream Heather Austin. I think this is probably one of my favorite collabs that she's ever come out with. This is one right here because I just really love this color story. I love the formula. And this is the reason why I ended up trying the brand and falling in love with the brand. I wanted to try more. It was because of this palette right here. And I just think that Heather did such a phenomenal job. And I still love this color story to this day. Up next, I have my one and only palette from Terra Moon Cosmetics. I've only tried them once this year. And it's going to be the Ovivacious palette. And I will say this brand was used to doing a lot of single shadows, but they finally started to make actual palettes. And this palette really impressed me. The mattes were super pigmented. The dual chromes and shimmers in here are chef's kiss. They blend like a dream, and I just really do love this color story. Like, this is such a pretty color story. You guys know I have such a soft spot for greens and golds and duochromes and multichromes, and this palette was just really nice. It really made me kind of take a step back going, wow, I should really try this brand more often because the formula really did impress me. No wonder you guys always said Terra Moon, like Terra Moon, Cleona, like Davina, like all like the single shadow brands that come out with like multi-chromes. You guys always said try the brand. I never have until recently, and I will say I definitely want to try more products from this brand because this formula was really impressive and I really did like them. So definitely want to see more from this brand. I've tried quite a few palettes from Lethal Cosmetics, but I want to say my most favorite palette that I've ever tried from the brand is actually going to be from their Avatar collection, and it's going to be the water palette right here. There is just something about this particular color story that I just love so much. It's just really beautiful. The formula is so different from previous formulas that I tried from Lethal Cosmetics. I feel like they really updated the formula with this collection. The mattes are super pigmented, but it's these shimmers. They're so creamy and buttery, and they're just perfect. They're especially perfect for the theme. Like, they were so on point for their theme when it came to this collection. Like, every single palette pretty much represented the nation that they were representing. Fire palette was fantastic. Air, just a little bit weird for me. Earth palette was phenomenal. And then the water palette right here was one of my absolute favorite. I love the shade right here in the center. This is such a beautiful shade. It's just this beautiful like duochrome. I feel like they did such a phenomenal job. I really do see the water elements in this, and I just got so inspired with this palette. I've actually gone into it several times to create a really beautiful, like fun blue eyeshadow look. This was just so pretty. I freaking love it. Next, we have Game Beauty. Now, I've tried quite a few palettes from Game Beauty, but I think the one that is still my favorite from them is going to be their first palette they ever launched, which was going to be the Game Beauty Adventure palette. For me, this palette had so much potential. Actually, this whole line had so much potential. They were telling a story with this collection. Why they ventured off from it, I'll never know, but I love the story that they were telling with this collection. I love a good gaming meets beauty. I'm a big time gamer. I play video games almost every single day. Fun fact, I like only watch exclusively gaming content because I love gaming content so much over on YouTube, but then on TikTok it's book content, really diverse there. But I will say I love a good gaming meets beauty, and that's what this palette was supposed to represent. That's what this brand was supposed to represent. So I love the Adventure Time right here. I feel like the outside packaging is just absolutely beautiful. The color story on the inside isn't the most wowing color story to me. I feel like they've definitely have changed their formula over the years as well. Like, their formula has definitely improved since then, but I still have such a love and passion for this palette because this is what introduced me to the brand. This is what introduced me to Game Beauty. This is what introduced me to the brand, and this is what made me go, oh, I really like this brand, and I really had a lot of fun reviewing every single palette they've ever came out with. And I just feel like this is such a beautiful palette for what it was at the time, right? For what it was at the time, it told a story, it told an adventure, and I just really like the collection that they were going with, the line that they're going with, and like I said, they did stop it. I don't know why they did, but I still have a lot of love for this palette. So that is why the Adventure palette from Game Beauty is one of my favorite palettes from the brand. So we have Unearthly Cosmetics. I've tried quite a few palettes from Unearthly, and fun fact, they are definitely making some changes. So right now, I think they have a big blowout Christmas sale going on right now, if you guys do want to check them out. But they said that starting next year, they're not going to release an eyeshadow palette until I think like June or July. They're going to be focusing on like complexion products, face products, and I'm really excited to see the direction that this brand is going in. But when they do create palettes, they really know how to create a really beautiful palette. And one of my favorite palettes from their brand is actually going to be the High Temp palette. There is just something about this palette that I just love so much. And I think it's just because the color story reminds me so much of fall, so maybe that's where my love for it comes into. But what I love about Unearthly Cosmetics is they create really unique palettes. They create unique concepts and stories, and they really know how to deliver a theme. So this is all about high temp, right? And for me, everything in here is supposed to represent like the high hot heat at summer, icy fall, but I just feel like the formula in here is just incredible. The mattes are so pigmented, they bloom like a dream, but then those shimmers are just gorgeous. They lay down so beautifully, and I feel like with each and every single palette you get that same consistency. Like their Just a Taste is fantastic. Brand new reimagined, like Not Normal palette's amazing. Their Spring Magic palette's amazing. Their Night Terror palette's amazing. Their Gargoyle palette's amazing. Like they've created so many different amazing palettes, and I'm so excited to see where this brand is going to go next year. And for me, if you guys are still able to get this palette, I would highly recommend it because it's still one of my favorites from the brand. I love this color story. I pull it out a lot, especially during the summer, the fall, especially during the fall season. It's so beautiful. It is so beautiful. And I just feel like Unearthly has really stepped up a lot over the last 2 years when it came to their packaging, their concept, everything. They really have to make themselves stand out apart from the other brands, and I really do love that about them. Up next, we have What's Up Beauty. Now, I've only tried like 2 or 3 palettes in their brand, but the one palette that stands out to me is going to be their Dragon Eye palette. Now, I love the outside packaging. It's so pretty, right? So pretty. I will say the color story on the inside doesn't necessarily match the outside packaging, but when I reviewed this, I fell so in love with this because one, the mattes are so pigmented. The mattes are really pigmented. The mattes are pigmented and they blend like a dream. Like there's not that much fallout to them, but those shimmers are just beautiful shimmers. And I was able to kind of recreate the palette itself. And I think the reason why I have such love for it is because for some reason it reminds me of Fourth Wing. I don't know why, but yet somehow it does. And I just love the magical element of this. I love the way that each shade complements each other. You can use this as an everyday palette if we should do so, or you have pops of colors in here as well. And I just really thoroughly enjoyed playing with this palette, playing with this palette, playing with the formula. And I really hope that they continue to make eyeshadow palettes. I think it's been a minute since they launched one. I think this was one of the last ones they did launch. And to me, it's still a really beautiful palette. I really love this one. It's one of my favorite ones from the brand. Now, Simply Posh Cosmetics is a newer brand to me. I only tried them for the first time this year. And then out of the 3 palettes I tried, my favorite is going to be the Gingerbread Bakery palette. Now, if you guys have watched my palette ranking, all these palettes I'm mentioning should not be surprised, at least the palettes I tried this year, should not be surprised as to why they're the number 1 from each brand. But for me, it's the color story. It is the color story. Now, they don't have the most wowing shimmer formula. They have like a very I don't want to say basic shimmer formula because they don't. But they don't have like the super wowing emollient formula where it's super creamy and buttery, but they have the type of formula that's going to be long lasting. So if you do have really oily lids, you don't have to worry about it cracking or creasing or fading. They have that type of shimmer formula, which I do really appreciate. I personally like the more creamy and more emollient because I love to have a really bright shine high up in your face that's like creamy and buttery and just like glides on. But I also don't have oily lids, so I don't know what it's like to have those so I don't really know what it's like to have oily lids and not have that formula work for you. Do you know what I mean? So I know that that's where this one comes in because you have that amazing formula. But you have that great shimmer formula that's going to lock in and hold on all day. Now for me, it's the color story. I love the color story in this palette. It is so fun, it's so creative. I can use this for the winter season, the spring season. And out of the 3 palettes I tried, this one particularly has been my favorite, especially with this color story. I just really do enjoy this color story. Up next, I have Glamlite. I want to say that Glamlite's they're still an indie brand, right? Like I'm not going to count P. Louise because I feel like they're becoming more mainstream. Same thing with like ColourPop, they're mainstream. I won't do any Natasha Denona, Huda Beauty, all that type of stuff. They're more mainstream. So I only pulled out palettes from my collection that generally are considered indie. And I still feel like Glamlite is still an indie brand. And one of my favorite palettes from this brand to date is still going to be their Dirty Martini palette. 1, I love the outside packaging, right? It's so innovative, so freaking cool. But 2, for me, y'all, it's the color story. I just love this color story so much. I love a good green olive color story. It's still one of my favorite ones to play with. I just love a good green eyeshadow palette. I always have. So I'm a little bit biased towards that, but the formula in here is just incredible. This is one of their newer formulas that they have in here. It is just amazing. The mattes are super pigmented. They blend like a dream. And those shimmers are just the beautiful shimmer formula that I love that just glides on the lid and has great pigmentation to them. They blend so easily. And every single shadow in here complements each shadow. You can do so many different looks with this one, but this one's still my favorite palette from Glamlite. I love this color story. They don't really make palettes like this anymore. This is actually, I think, one of the last palettes besides like the holiday sweets that they launched that was a non-licensed collab. I really hope that in the future we start to see stuff like this again from Glamlite, where they start to release non-licensed IPs and they just come back to just creating something they come back to creating something like this again, because this was a lot of fun. I feel like they did a good job, and like I said, this is my favorite one from them. Up next, we do have Odin's Eye Cosmetics. Now, I have tried so many palettes in their brand, and there's still one palette that I feel like out of all of them is my personal favorite that I have taken with me on vacation, that I've traveled with, and that's going to be the Stone and Rock palette right here. I love this palette, and I think it's just, for me, it's the color story. It's the color story. I can't help it. There's something about this color story that I'm just like, I love a good green, grungy, olive, earthy tone palette. And I think it's just because I could do so much with it. I can create colorful looks with it, or I could do everyday neutral looks with it. And I just simply love this palette. I love this color story. It's still one of my absolute favorite from them. They just did such a phenomenal job with this. And man, this palette is just gorgeous to me. Still one of my favorite palettes from Odin's Eye. Up next, we have Bella Beauté Bar. I got introduced to the brand last year, and I've really fallen in love with the brand. And I will say my number one palette from them should be no shock, because I just said this is my number one palette that I tried this year, and this is going to be the Ocean Jewel palette. This right here is my absolute favorite palette from this brand. It's actually my favorite palette of the year so far. It's actually my favorite palette of the year. I love this color story. There is something about this mermaid color story that I truly am obsessed with. You have those deep, bold colors. You have those deep colors right here. Then you have the mid-tone colors, but then you have the bright pastel and neon shades in here. And each shade can complement each other. You can create really beautiful mermaid-esque looks. And I just love the way the formula is in here. The mattes are really pigmented, and those shimmers are just chef's kiss, my favorite type of shimmer formula. And I just really love the depth of this palette. You can create so many different beautiful looks in here. I love the shade Jellyfish because I do love a good matte with shimmer in it. I don't know what it is. It's one of my favorites. And I just feel like this is such a beautiful palette out there. And I know that I did speak with the owner of Bella Beauté Bar, and she said that she was going to bring this one back. So as soon as she does, I would definitely let you guys know. But this to me is one, my favorite palette that I tried at all. My favorite palette I tried this year, but two, my favorite palette that I've ever tried from this brand. It's just beautiful. Up next, we have Day Day Signature. I tried Day Day Signature for the first time this year, and I'm really impressed with this brand. Like, they've truly impressed me. And my favorite palette from them is going to be the Broken Jewels palette right here. Now, this palette, when I first looked at it, I didn't expect to love it as much as I did, but then after playing with it and creating multiple looks, I was like, this palette is gorgeous! Not only are the match just unbelievably beautiful and pigmented, and they blend like a dream, but to me, it's that shimmer formula. It is just so creamy and buttery, and the way it just glides on that lid, I am so obsessed. But each shade in here can complement another shade. You can create so many different diverse looks with this palette, which is what I love. And I feel like for me, if I want to go for a neutral moment, I can. But if I want to go for a pop of color, I can also do that. And I really love that about this palette. You're going to have some of my favorite shades in here with the goldens and greens, but I also do like a beautiful like blue winter look. I could do a summer look. I have so many different options with this palette. That's why it's one of my favorites from the brand, because it truly just has what I'm looking for in a diverse palette. And that's what she brings with this one. It's one of my favorite ones from this brand. So hopefully this is still available. If not, hopefully she does bring it back, because this one is incredible. Up next, we have Artitude Cosmetics. Now, I've been trying them for a couple years, and I feel like the palette that stands out the most to me, that's my personal favorite, is going to be the Arcana palette right here. One, I love the outside packaging. It's so beautiful. But for me, it's just the color story on the inside. There's something about this color story that I feel like is just very unique for the brand compared to some of their other palettes. And I just love the good soft pastel palette. I just love this good soft pastel palette. You can create so many different beautiful soft everyday looks with this palette. This is the type of palette that I can take with me to a business trip. This type of palette I can wear every single day if I want to go to work. And this is the type of palette that I don't need to wear like eyelashes with. Like, I don't mind wearing, false lashes. I do really enjoy wearing them, but there's sometimes I just want to wear mascara, and I feel like that's what this palette calls for right here. You just see the more natural beauty of your eye, because you have those very soft, cool tone, muted shades in here, and they're just so beautiful. They complement each other beautifully, and I just love the way they perform, and I just love Artitude so much. And I just feel like this is just a really fun fantasy-esque style palette that just doesn't require too much to make work, and it's just that beautiful palette that you can wear every day, pops of color, neutral, however you want to do it. Is just so beautiful. So that is why this is my favorite palette from Artitude Cosmetics. When it comes to cosmic beauty, I have tried quite a few palettes from the brand, and I couldn't decide whether I loved two palettes more, the Undergrowth palette or the Winter Wonderland palette. And I think what it came down to it is that which one have I reached for more? And personally, I do love a good like summer palette, but I also love a good winter palette. So for me, I feel like my favorite cosmic brushes or cosmic beauty palette is going to be the Wonderland palette. There's something so special about this palette, and I think it's just because I resonate with this color story so much. I like starting in November want winter all the way through the end of January, and this is a palette that will definitely get a lot of use. I'm obsessed with the eye look that I created when playing with this. I love the formula in here, and I just love that this one is so different from so many different palettes in my collection. As you guys can tell, I do love a good green gold palette. I've shown you guys that multiple times just in the years of me doing palette rankings, with me showing like the me showing them my favorite Odin's Eye, Glam Light, even the Sense Beauty that's gonna be coming up, and even like Question Beauty. I just love a good like green gold palette. They're my favorite, but I also love a good like different. I also have a good like winter palette, and I feel like that's where this comes into play. I love the color stories in here. This one is so different from all the other palettes I have in my collection. I don't have a color scheme like this, and I feel like because of that, I gravitate to this palette so much because it's just so different. It's so unique for my particular collection that I have, and I just love the color story. I love the mattes. I love the shimmers. I love the pastel shades in here, and I love that this is the perfect winter palette. I've gone back to this several times now this month alone just to keep playing with this because I truly am obsessed with this. It was my number one winter palette for a reason, and it's my number one Cosmic Brushes palette for a reason. It's just a beautiful overall color story, and I feel like they did a phenomenal job with this one. That's why it's my favorite. Up next, I have Singe Beauty. Now, Singe Beauty only released 3 palettes, but I think my favorite one from this brand should be no surprise to anybody, but it's going to be the Agate Temptation palette. This color story right here is just a color story that I love so much, especially during the summer season. I love those greens and golds. I just said that. This is a color story that I gravitate to a lot. Any palette that launches like this, I end up buying because it's one of my favorite color stories out there. I cannot help it. I just feel like a green gold eyeshadow look on my eyes just looks so incredibly pretty. I get so many compliments because of it. So I really do tend to gravitate to palettes like this. Now, what I do love about this color story right here is that you're going to have my favorite elements of the greens and the golds, but you also have a little bit of this little quadrant right here, this little like 6 shadows right here of like little fall colors as well. It's like little fall moment. The rest is like a summer moment for me. So I can definitely do a lot with this. I can do some neutral eye looks with this. I can do some fall eye looks with this. I can do some green, gold, grungy eye looks with this. I have a little bit more diversity with this palette, and I really do love that about this. The formula is incredible. The mattes are really pigmented, and then those shimmers are not like those super emollient shimmers, but she created shimmers that are going to be very long lasting, where they do stick to the lid without cracking or creasing or fading, and I really do love that about her shimmer formula. And I'm really excited for you guys, and I'm really excited to see what she's going to be launching next. This is my favorite color stories. I've told her several times it's my favorite color story, and I just really do love this palette, and it just gets me so excited to see what Singe Beauty launches next. Another brand that I tried for the first time this year is going to be Question Beauty, and my favorite Question Beauty palette out of all three is going to be the chapter 1 right here. I just love this color story. To me, this is a perfect summer palette. I love the greens and I love the blues. I can do, again, beautiful neutral eye moments with this. I can create beautiful like neutral eye moments with this. I can also do beautiful blue eye looks with this, or green grungy looks with this. The shimmers in here are that creamy buttery shimmer that just love. It glides on your lids like a dream, but they're also multi-chrome, which I love a good multi-chrome. I love whenever you can like turn your head and you can see the shift between like the blue green. Like this shade right here is a beautiful shift between like blue, green, gold. It's so pretty. Then this right here is that beautiful like blue, purple, green. It's so pretty. It's hard to tell right here, but these have these beautiful shifts. Then you have this shade right here that's going to be like a beautiful like aurora borealis, where it goes like pink, white, blue. It's so pretty. I love a good shifty shade, and they feel like a dream. They're so creamy and buttery. It's my favorite palette from this brand. They did such a phenomenal job. It's the reason why I want to keep trying more products from the brand, because of this formula. I was like, wow, no one's talking about Question Beauty. I'll talk about them. They're phenomenal. They're from New Zealand, and I still love this color story so much. This palette right here in particular was my number one palette that I tried so far this year. It did drop down, I think, to like 3rd place, but I still love this palette so much. I still use this palette a lot, and I just truly cannot wait to see what they come out with in 2026. This is phenomenal. Up next, we do have Fantasy Cosmetica, and this one was a little hard for me because I couldn't decide between 2 palettes. I love the Monk palette, but I also love like the Hearts of Soul palette. But I think for me, when I look at the 2, there's still one that I grab to a lot, and that's going to be the Monk palette right here. Now, I love orange. Orange is my absolute favorite color in the entire world. I've made that very clear since I was a child. I actually had an orange bedroom. Orange is my favorite color. It's why my background always switches to fall on August 1st, because I just love a good fall themed palette. And that's what this palette represents. I think for me, the shade right here called Now or How, it's just one of those beautiful, one of my favorite multi-chrome shifts. It goes between like a gold or like a gold teal green shift. It's just so pretty. It's so captivating, and it just really complements this palette really beautifully. I also love how pigmented the mattes are. And then the shimmers are just gorgeous. It's a very beautiful palette. I could wear this every single day if I wanted to. I truly could. But I just love a good orange. I just love a good orange palette. And that's what this is right here. This is my favorite orange palette. I come back to this palette time and time again. I think that this is one of my favorite palettes this brand has ever launched. I truly am obsessed with this. I grab this palette with me whenever I want to do anything like fall related or anything orange related. This is the palette that I go through. This is the palette I go to every single time. This palette I think I recommended to my friends outside of YouTube the most, because it's just so damn gorgeous. So that's my favorite palette from Fantasy Cosmetica, is the Monk palette. And like I said, I wish this brand knew who I was. Like I said in my ranking video that like I love Fantasy Cosmetics so much, but I don't think they like me because they never ever acknowledge my existence. They send me PR and I'm grateful for it. But yeah, I've never been acknowledged by this brand a day in my life. Up next, we have Gourmand Girls. I absolutely do love Gourmand Girls and their palette. I'm actually wearing the brand new Mostly Mary palette right here. I'm wearing my eyes right here. I actually did post a reel. If you guys haven't checked it out, I did post it on my Instagram and on TikTok and YouTube Shorts. This palette is officially available as of right now. If you guys do want to check it out, it's absolutely beautiful. But I think my favorite palette from the brand so far that I've tried just overall is honestly going to be the Mocha Moment palette. Now, you wouldn't think that given all the other color stories this brand have launched, I love, but this Mocha Moment palette is just beautiful. I think it's because there's going to be some grungy greens in here. There's going to be some golds in here, and I just really love that vibe. I love the fact that I can do an everyday neutral look with this, or I can do like a really green grungy look with this, and I just really resonate with that a lot, like truly a lot. The formula in here is just incredible. I can do like a glamorous smoky eye look. I can do a neutral eye look with this. I can do a grungy green eye look with this. I just love the way that this just offers me so different. I love the way this offers me a different variety of look. And I could also do like a smoky neutral moment with this. It's just, I don't know. It's just one of those palettes that just offers me so much. I get so inspired every single time I look at it. And I just feel like it's such a beautiful color story. I love it. I love it. And I feel like this, out of all the neutral palettes or neutral-esque, this one is just, it's so good. It's my favorite. So that is why my favorite palette from Gourmand Girls is the Mocha Moment. Next, we have Blend Bunny Cosmetics. Now, I've been reviewing Blend Bunny Cosmetics since 2020, and I still feel like my favorite palette of this entire brand is going to be the Longing palette. Now, this palette, I think it's been out of stock for quite some time, but this color story is just so beautiful. It's so different from her other color stories that she has out there. I love the muted cool tone-ness of this palette. This palette represents so much. It represents loss and longing and grieving and just having those very somber days, which I can relate to a lot. Like none of us are happy 24/7. And when I see this palette, I just feel seen. I feel like I can just wrap myself up in a cozy blanket, grab a book with a cup of hot tea, and I can just sit there and I can just sit and just be and be nothing else and just be in the moment, be in the present, be in the peacefulness or the quietness. I feel like that's what this palette represents. It represents all of that. And the color story for me is just beautiful. The mattes in here are very soft. They're very blendable, but they're also that cool tone, muted color story. And then the shimmers are just a beautiful shimmer formula. And I just feel like Maggie just really captured the essence of longing and grieving and loss in this palette. And for me, I love a good cool tone moment. I feel like this is so different from all of her other palettes. All of her other palettes are very warm, bright, and colorful, and this one is just a little bit more pulled back, a little bit more reserved, and kind of there for moments when you need it. And I really resonate with this color story. It's why it's still my favorite from this entire brand. So if she's ever able to launch this again, or she has it, you guys should definitely check it out. It's my favorite one from Blend Bunny Cosmetics. Up next, I have Nomad Cosmetics. I have been reviewing Nomad, I think, since 2020. I have so many different palettes of theirs, and I think you guys should already know by now what my favorite Nomad palette is. I've been very vocal about it. I feel bad because it came in second place for my winter ranking, and it also came in second place for my entire eyeshadow palette ranking. But Nomad, if you're watching, this is finally in first place. It's finally in first place as my favorite Nomad palette in the entire world, and that's going to be the Après-Ski palette. Y'all should not be surprised. Okay, I love this palette so freaking much. There's something that's just so magical about it. So magical. Also, I want to let you guys know, I won't ever tear this open, but she also continues, they also continue the color scheme in here. Like, there's more story to be had in the inside of the box. I just won't tear it open to look at it because I like keeping my packages. But one, I love the color story, but two, damn, the inside color story of this is just beautiful. This is a beautiful winter-esque palette. I love those like minty tones in here, the lavender tones, the pink tones, the just bright, merry winter tones in here. I love the shimmers, I love the mattes, and I have been very vocal that this is a beautiful, beautiful palette, and I hope they still have it, and if they do, you guys definitely got to get your hands on it. For me, it was my number 2 winter palette for a reason. It was my number 2 palette as a whole for a reason that I tried this year. It's just an overall gorgeous palette. It's everything I'm looking for, like in a winter color story. It's what inspired me to hopefully one day create my own winter palette that I was somewhat kind of working on, and I will say this is just absolutely gorgeous. I love those, like I said, minty shades, the pale lavenders, the pale pinks, the pale blues, the pastel moments in here. It is just gorgeous. While I always will love a good, bright, bold, colorful eyeshadow palette, there's something that's just so beautiful about something a little bit more soft, a little bit more elegant, that's a little bit more pulled back, and that is what this is right here. It's just beautiful. Up next, I do have Clarity Cosmetics. Now, I've tried like 3 palettes in the brand, but I only have one left, and that's going to be the Cobra palette. This was my favorite palette from the brand that I tried so far. I haven't tried too much in the brand, but the ones I did, this is the one that I resonate with the most. I really do enjoy the color story. It's not my favorite formula, but the color story is absolutely beautiful. You guys know, again, I had that soft spot for greens and golds. I really do, and that's what this palette is right here. Really beautiful. I had a lot of fun with this one, so that's why it's my number 1 from this palette. I've tried brands like Wicked Widow, but I'm not going to lie to you guys. I did declutter all my Wicked Widow palettes. I only had 2. I had the Graveyard Smash and I had the American Psycho. Both got decluttered, so I don't really have any favorites from there. And I don't think I'm missing anything else from my collection. If I am, please feel free to let me know. Like I know there's Sigma, but I don't really count Sigma as indie because you guys can find them inside like Brick and Morty stores, like Urban Outfitters and stuff like that. So I don't really count Sigma, and you can also find them at Ulta Beauty. So it's why I don't count Sigma. I don't count ColourPop or anything else. So I think that's it for indie brands besides Glamour-Natrix. It's the one palette I haven't shown you guys yet, but I think I did hit every other mark. If I missed anything, please let me know. But my favorite Glamour-Natrix Cosmetics palette, and like I went back and forth between the 2, but I think the one that just truly I resonate with the most and the one that I gravitate to the most, the one that I've used the most out of all my palettes, honestly, is going to be the Tones of Turd palette. Now, this one ranked a little bit lower than my Bonfire because I do love the Bonfire color story just a bit more, like in terms of color story and what I look for. I love that one just a bit more. But the reason why this one's still my personal favorite is just because it's a poop theme palette. Truly, it's a poop theme palette. Now, this color story, don't get me wrong, I freaking love this color story. Those greens and those diarrhea greens and yellows and those golden shades. You guys know I resonate with that. But for me, I feel like what makes it my favorite is just the what it represents. It represents poop, okay? And as somebody who has tummy issues, I've never felt more seen in my entire life than I have with this palette right here. I resonate with this palette so much, and I shared some poop themed stories with you guys when I reviewed this palette because I've had some moments. I've had some moments as an adult that are really scary, like, oh my God, I'm about to shit myself inside Magic Kingdom. This is going to be a lot of fun for me and everybody else involved. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel so seen with this eyeshadow palette. It's truly a gorgeous color story. The formula is fantastic, but for me, it's just the concept as a whole why it's my favorite, because everything about this is supposed to be funny humor, poop, like potty humor, and I resonate with it. I think potty humor is absolutely hilarious. I am that person that if you fart, I'm going to laugh. Or if I fart, I'm going to laugh. Or if I do the sneak attack fart where it's silent and deadly, I'm going to laugh. I cannot help it. I'm a child. I giggle at that humor. I can't help it. Okay. I laugh at potty humor. I think it's hilarious. And I think it's just because for the most part, I do have a lot of tummy issues. So that's probably why I find it funny, because I get it. And plus I have my colonoscopy in 2 weeks. So I just feel like I'm so seen and represented with this palette right here. It's why I love it so much. And even though it didn't rank as high as the Bonfire did, there's still something about this palette that just like has my heart. And it's probably the one palette, if I had to keep one from Glamour-Natrix, it would probably be this one right here because of what it represents. So those are my top palettes from every single indie brand that I have ever tried. I really hope I'm not missing anything. I don't think that I am. And if I am, I do apologize. I have tried a lot of indie palettes over the years, and I just feel like indie brands are just truly where it's at. And I had a lot of fun doing this. So huge thanks to Heather Austin. Like I said, I saw her post this video last year and I got inspired by it. So I thought I would do it myself. Like I said, this was not a ranking in the terms of ranking my least favorite to my most. This is just me saying these are my favorite palettes from each indie brand that I tried. So let me know in the comments below, what are your number 1 palettes from every indie brand that you guys tried? I want to know from you. So with that said, guys, that is it for today's video. If you guys enjoyed today's video, please make sure you guys give this video a cheeky thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you guys have not already. So I do post 3 to 4 videos every single week. Make sure you guys head over to my other channel. It's Art for Life. You guys get to see my cool, wonderful adventures, my amazing husband, Corey. And as always, the biggest thank you goes to these beautiful, wonderful patron members you guys see right here. Thank you guys so much for everything. And to my subscribers and viewers, thank you guys so much for being here. Whether you guys like this video, you guys thumbs down this video, you guys subscribed, you guys did not subscribe. Either way, thank you guys so much for being here. I love and appreciate each and every single one of you. So with that said, guys, I love you, and I'll see you guys in my very next video.